Commitment to getting better is great, but soliciting advice from too many different sources, whether that be consultants or just information out there on the internet or wherever you get it, can actually be hurtful. And here's the analogy I like to use that explains this. Imagine you were building your dream car. Would you start with a Ford chassis, a Toyota engine, or seats and interior made by Volkswagen? No. So the car would probably blow itself apart by the time you got a block or two down the road. It's that or a death trap, and it makes no sense. But for some reason, too many owners seem to think it's okay to take consulting advice or just business advice from multiple articles they may find online or business books that they read, or from multiple consultants. This works on the idea that all pieces will somehow fit, and the reality is it's not likely to happen. Much of the advice doesn't take into the account what size company you have today, let alone what your company you want to grow it to be in the coming years. It doesn't take into account the type of work you do and how you do it. These specific issues that may be hampering your business today and in the near future are unlikely to be addressed with this philosophy. The other thing is, one size doesn't fit all. Neither does the off-the-shelf advice from too many different sources. It rarely helps. The best example I can share of integration, or things that are born together, is how I put my CSR, customer service rep, dispatcher, and technician manuals, how they were written many, many years ago. We had a professional writer, and that was really helpful, my industry friend, because he helped us run meetings that brought in these three departments, CSR, dispatcher, and tech, to talk about all of the pieces it takes to integrate a well-run call from start to finish. And we got these three people talking about their distinct roles and how they affect each other. What we came to realize is that when one of us acts poorly, it causes the other to. So think of it as a triangle, but also like a relay race. Is if one of you drop the baton, we lose the race in a relay race. So what I mean by that is if a CSR doesn't build the sales momentum right on the call, or capture just all the information the right way, explain how the company operates, and avoids traps like giving ballpark pricing over the phone, or worse yet, giving a diagnosis over the phone, which by the way happens all too often, I hate to say, things are going to go poorly. If the dispatcher doesn't keep the customer in the loop as things progress or change throughout the day, customer satisfaction will suffer. They must work to maximize billable hours. That's how I really judge a good dispatcher, and make sure the right techs are getting to the right jobs and avoiding pitfalls like excessive windshield time, which happens all over the country. Drive time is a big thing. Things are going to go badly. If the dispatcher doesn't get all the right information to the tech the right way, things will also go badly. There's a break in communication. If the tech doesn't get and review all of that information before they get to the doorstep, it's a call that's off to a bad start. And if the tech doesn't keep the dispatcher in the loop about how they're proceeding through the call and what work has been approved and how much time they expect to be on the job so they can update the dispatching schedule, it's going to get messed up. If the tech doesn't close out the call the right way with the dispatcher, or better yet, let the dispatcher know 10 to 15 minutes ahead of time when they're going to be wrapping up so the dispatcher can set up their next call, efficiency will suffer. Again, I call this the triangle of communication because that's the best way I can think of it. If any one of those legs get broken, that's a problem because it breaks the other two. And if anything gets changed in any one of those three, it's also going to be a problem. So what's this got to do with too many sources of information? Well, how about a CSR manual that was written by someone, a dispatcher manual written by somebody else, and then a technician manual that was written by somebody else? They're not going to get these pieces. It's back to that car analogy that I talked about. Too many consultants, business books, online advice, although they may be good information, they're coming from all different places, and that rarely works well together. If you do take information from multiple sources, it's critical that the owners and managers already have a plan to systematize their business so they can view this new information through a lens that allows them to see, how does that fit with this plan? How do we integrate all that information? It takes a lot of filtering and using that lens for the incoming information to make sure that it's actually going to help as you try to mix these various sources. The funny thing is, this symptom is common to both small and large businesses. The way they get too much advice from too many different sources does vary. For example, large companies have more money, so they may have multiple consultants. And they also belong to large affinity groups where they get more information. Whereas small companies tend to rely on trade magazines, online advice, blogs, local associations that they belong to, just calling up a friend. Possibly some of that help in the way of getting systems into their places. My friend Ellen Rohr likes to say money buys options. And that's true, but in some cases, it can be money misapplied. And that's why we both agree that a business plan is really where you need to start. That's your first step. That can be done in a number of different ways. In my opinion, if money is tight, Ellen's Weekend Business Planner is a great way to go. If you have money and your company is ready for professional help, then one-to-one help with a consultant can be a really good thing, but be careful when you bring in too many of them. A track record for that consultant is really important, and make sure that they specialize in your type of business, helping contractors just like you. One of my consulting clients told me that he had hired me because he had learned along the way that there are two ways to learn. One is by making a bunch of mistakes, and the other one is by hiring mentors to avoid those mistakes. So choose wisely, my friends.